Hello everyone, my name is Saraya and I do all the filming for my husband, Terry, aka Stutzman52. If you like this video or any other video on Stutzman52 channel, click on the subscribe button, then click on the settings button. Check it off and then click on the save button. Now you'll be notified by email of any new video uploads for this channel. Thank you.
Alright, welcome back guys. Are you ready to pick up where we left off? Okay, let's get started.
Okay, let's crack this here crankshaft pulley bolt. It'll be under 85 foot-pounds of torque. So let's take her off.
Easy.
Easy peasy. Now this crankshaft pulley should be a slip fit, so it should just slide right off. And there we go. Alright. You might want to take a note. You see how the key right here is, it looks like it's at a 12 o'clock position. So that's another indication where your top dead center. Alright, let's take off this here lower timing belt cover right here. We've got two bolts. One is right there, one is right there. An 8mm socket will take care of that for you. I'll catch you guys in the next shot when we get the bolts out. Alright, now take notice that this here cover, this here lower timing belt cover, goes up underneath the flange here, right there. So you can see it when I pull it out. Okay, see?
Oh yeah.
Right up underneath. Alright.
Right now, what I've got, I'm underneath the oil pan, got a piece of plywood, and I got it mounted on the transmission jack. So I like the transmission jack because you can tilt the platform to match up to the bottom of the oil pan, because you know that we have the front of the car jacked up. So that's what I like about this. So you're going to have to get some kind of support. Use some kind of plywood or something to distribute the load across the bottom of the oil pan. You don't need this thing to be cracking. Okay, let's go to the next step.
Alright, let's work on the engine mount. We have a nut right here. And we have one right back over there. So let's crack these two. 18mm will take care of that. I'm using a deep well 18mm 6-point. That's one. Okay. So I'm going to be screwing these nuts off. Catch you guys in the next shot. There's the two nuts that came off of the engine mount studs. Now let's take off this here ground wire and let's get him out of the way. See, there's another nut over here on the right hand side that needs to come off. Again, that's an 18mm. See that nut is exactly like the two previous nuts. Let's take this bolt out here. This is a 18mm. And that's what she looks like. See if we can just lift this here engine mount up and see if we can get it out of there. Guess we have to turn it sideways. And there you go. And here's the back side. Now the next step in the service manual mentions about taking these here two studs out. I can't see the reason why, but I'm sure they have a reason. Maybe it might interfere with the timing belt cover, but I can't see that either. But maybe it's probably because of the components behind the cover, so it might be in the way. So anyway, we're going to remove these two studs. An E10 socket will take care of that for you. Now mine, they weren't that tight, so that one's pretty loose, and this one down here is pretty loose. So I'm going to be screwing these out, and I'll catch you guys in the next shot. Here's the two studs.
Wow, they're long.
Yeah, and there's those E10 heads there for a socket, just so you can see what they look like. And the service manual, the next step is to detach the knock sensor connector from the upper timing cover. Now that should be right back in here, but it's very difficult to see even with a mirror. I think I see it, but I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that alone for right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on these 4 bolts. One there. There's one down in here, right where my finger's at. You'll see the cutout. There's another one right here. And there's another one right down here. Just put your finger down there and you can feel it right where my finger is now. Get you a little bit of butter light right in there.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it? It's two on each side. 8mm socket will take care of that for you. So I'll catch you guys in the next shot after I got the bolts out. Now those are here are the 4 upper timing belt covers. Okay. All right, now we should be able to remove the upper timing belt cover. And there it is. It's got a little rubber seal around it, just like on the lower timing belt cover, like a little piece of foam. Okay. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this engine support bracket. There's 4 fasteners that's holding this. Now one of them is right here, 13mm head. There's another one right where my finger is at, 13mm. And let me just show you a picture of the diagram so you can see it also. Now this is the top right here. And then on the bottom you'll see there's 2 more fasteners. This bolt here is also a 13mm. And be very careful, you're going to have one right here that is going to be a Torx bolt. That's going to be a T50. And I'm going to carry you underneath and I'll point these two out right here. Alright, these 2 bolts that's on the bottom of the engine support bracket, one is right there. You'll find that it's right beneath where the Serpentine belt idler was at, pulley. 13mm take care of that, and you'll see that one right there. That's a T50. You'll see that's to the left of the water pump, which is right over here. Alright, let me go over some things over this engine mount bracket. It might be helpful. This bolt, in fact, all of these bolts, you'll be easier to take these things out from the bottom. That bolt there will come right out. T50, no problem, it'll come out. This bolt up here, you'll find out it will not come out because it's hitting the frame rail. Okay, this bolt over here, let me get you guys a better shot. This bolt up here that was up on the top right underneath, it will come out. Okay, now with a little maneuvering, twisting, moving the bolt up there on the top in and out, the one that butts into the frame rail, because you can't get it all the way out, you can actually get it down, okay, with the bolt still there. So this one here, you'll find that you cannot get it out. It'll butt into the frame rail. Frame rail is right over here. You push it back and you see it'll go back like that. But you can twist it down and get it back on out. These bolts here, the other ones, the other 3, you know, that one, that one, that one, they'll come out, but no problem. All right, let's go over this engine mount bracket because it was kind of sideways when I was talking about it. Let's go over these bolts. This bolt right here is the one I was talking about. That is going to be the longest bolt. Okay, if you look at the back, they're all the same length looking at it from this way.
Yeah.
This bolt right here is the longest bolt, and that's the one that's going to be buttoned up against the frame rail, but you can get it out as you saw earlier. Okay, this one over here, this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, they're all the same length. So if you take these 2 out, taking a look at them, see they're the same length. If I take the Torx bolt out, which is right here in the lower right corner,
same length.
You can see he's the same length. This one up here, top left corner, pop him out, lay them all down. Now you can see. And this here is up at the top. That's where the stud's screwed in that we took out earlier. The final thing I want to take a note of is where this tab is located at. Looks to me like it's at the 2 o'clock position. It may wind up in another position, but I'm just taking notes of all this stuff right now before I take and break this bolt loose. Alright, this bolt right here, 10mm socket, will take care of that for you. And we'll go ahead and we'll break it loose. Right now we're just going to loosen it up so we can move that tab. That'll take the tension off of this here timing belt. It should be like a 6mm hex, but I can move it so you can see how the tensioner moves side to side.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take the tension off of this belt, and then we'll see if we can just slide this belt off. Alright, just trying to slide this here belt off from the camshaft sprockets. Even with the tensioner loose, it is still pretty snug.
Almost done.
Almost. But we're not playing horseshoes though. Okay.
Alright.
So there it is. So there's our timing belt. It actually looks to be pretty good shape. So this belt may have probably been changed since we had the brace cut off on the catalytic converter. But, you know, if you don't know the history of the car, then you'll be guessing, right? But it looks like the original components are still down there as far as this tensioner. And also this here idler right here. And we're going to replace that, and we're going to replace the tensioner. And just to show as a confirmation that this belt is being changed, so you can see this is Napa belt 250-294 part number. Okay. Now I was showing you this bar here. Okay. Now the little issue that I have with this bar is that you have to slide it over to try to get into one camshaft to the other, right? And it's hard to just slide it in because you got to move both of these camshafts. I had to move them slightly. What I did is I reached over here and I turned the camshaft, each one of them, so the slots would be perfectly parallel so that you could slide this bar in on those slots. So the camshafts are locked down now, as you see right now. Again, remember the slots offset from the center are up on the top. We also have a pin down there, so the crankshaft is still resting up against that pin. So now everything is in a position of being in time. Camshafts are in time with the top dead center piston, number 1, on the compression. Now, just to ensure that we're still at top dead center, because I did put an impact wrench on here to loosen the bolt, we should be okay, but let's don't take no chances. I screwed the bolt back in, and then I backed up counterclockwise slightly to get the crankshaft throw off of that pin, that timing pin. So now I'm going to go back clockwise, and I'm going to turn it till it stops up against that pin. You heard it? There it is. So we are now right at top dead center on the number 1 piston on the compression stroke. And we have our camshafts locked down with the bar. Alright, let's go ahead and take this bolt out. Just taking it out. Take the tensioner off. You're very quiet, Soraya.
I'm on this little step ladder here trying to reach over and look in here.
Yeah.
I don't want to fall. Ah, there we go.
Yep. And there is our tensioner. So there's looks like that's where the notch is at, and it looks like this here will get pulled up. I'm gonna say this pulls up into the, right there. This here will go back into the back in the timing cover, I believe, or back in the block rather. So we'll have to look at that later when we install the new one. So there you go. You got a good look at it now. Okay. All right. What we're doing now is I'm just got a mirror here. I'm showing you that tensioner where the bolt hole is. That's where it was screwed in. And the biggest thing is, let me see if I can find this notch for you. You see that notch over down there? That's where the tang fits at, right there. That's where the tang on the tensioner will fit into this rear timing belt cover. It looks like it might be a little cutout in the casting on the block, so this tang will fit in there. Got to make absolutely sure that that tang gets down inside that notch, and there again, that's where the tensioner bolt itself will screw into. Okay. All right, there's a timing belt idler. Let's go ahead and break him loose, take him out. The 15mm socket will take care of that for you. Ooh, he be on there. I don't think he's supposed to be about 18 foot-pounds, if I remember correctly. We'll check all that out when we put it back on. Alright, so I'm going to be screwing this here bolt out, guys. I'll show you what it looks like when I get it out. Alright, I got the bolt out in my freaking hand. It is tight down in there. And that is what it looks like. Okay. Of course, we have a new one that we're going to be putting in.
Alright, next thing we're going to take off is this water pump. There's going to be 4 bolts. You'll see 3 of them. One is there, one is there, one is there, and one is up above there. 8mm socket will take care of that for you, and I'll get back with you in the next shot. Alright, I got the bolts loose. I haven't got them taken out. What I'm going to do right now is get your container. You're going to have some oil coolant inside the block, so just let that drain. Alright, so now I'm just going to go ahead and just lift it straight out. Oh, yeah, it makes a friggin' mess. Okay, so there is our water pump. Did you notice we have an O-ring seal right around there? Okay. It's got a metal impeller. Okay. Alright, next thing I'm going to take off is this tensioner. Now you don't have to take the tensioner off, you know, for changing the timing belt, but I'm going to look in replacing this. These are going to take a look at it anyway. One of your bolts, it looks like there's 2 bolts. One is right here, and there's another one right there where my finger's at. Maybe you may not see it. Now you can get this from the top, or you can get it from the bottom. I'm going to try to get it from the bottom. So I'm going to be working on those 2 bolts, and I'll catch you guys in the next shot. Here's our tensioner, so there's that 1 bolt. I'm going to try to do this one-handed, guys. I'm doing the filming now. There's one of the bolts. I guess they're there.
Okay.
And the other one is right over here. I can get my hand in there. Come on. Alright. Okay, let's take them on down. Alright. Now we'll take a look at it.
Alright, so it was in there just like that. 2 bolts. They're the same length. Okay. And you can see there's a lot of that residue of that belt that we were talking about.
Oh,
So I believe we should go ahead and change them. And then this is the back side.
What is this called again?
This is the Serpentine belt tensioner.
Oh, okay.
So this looks like the original. Alright guys, this is the water pump housing. Now when I was taking the screws out on this right here for the water pump, I noticed that this one was very, very loose. Okay. Turns to find out this one right here has stripped threads. So at this point right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a helicoil in here. Now the bolt size for this is a M6 by 1.0 millimeters. So I'm going to be working on that, putting a helicoil in. And just so you can see the back side, there's going to be a gasket that's going to go right up in here. Now this is the OEM gasket that goes on there. You see those three little metal tabs? This thing looks like it's made out of metal, and it's got a little bit of rubber around here and a little bit of rubber around here. It's probably a good thing to replace it, because looking at it a little bit closer, it looks like there was probably a little bit of leakage here. Now I've already cleaned this all up. You can see I got this here cleaned up. That's where this here gasket with the tabs goes down, and it just presses into here. Now there's a Felpro gasket, and it looks nothing like this. And you know, so I cannot find a picture of this anywhere. Now I could go to the dealer, try to get this, but you know, there's no guarantee what I'm going to get. It might be something similar to Felpro's gasket, which more or less looks like to me like a kind of a paper gasket. I'm going to give it a shot. You know, I'm going to put some RTV sealant on here. I'm going to press it on. It does not have any tabs on it. You know, I do not like that. Now to take this thing off, when you get your timing belt off, everything, you have to pull everything off the front of the engine here. And so that's where at this point I'm just going to take it on out. 10 millimeter bolt heads here. The torque on those are 15 foot-pounds. You will have your lower radiator hose over here. It's no big deal. It's got a spring clamp. Loosen it, slide the hose off. 2 bolts, one here, and then this whole thing will come right out. So now I'm going to put a helicoil in it. Alright, so would you guys like to see putting a helicoil in for this thing?
Yes, please.
Alright, so what I'll do, this is normally not part of a timing belt procedure, so what I'll do is I'll make a separate video for the helicoil, and I'll put a link in there, so if you want to see that, you can see what I've done.
A shot of where the water pump housing was at. You can see all this surface right here. This is where it was bolted at. This here hole, of course, is going back into the block, you know, where the coolant will go. Alright, and so there's one bolt hole up there, you know, for it. And then there's another one. It's way down here on the bottom. Maybe hard to see that. And then over here, this might be hard to see, but there's the water pump hose, water pump housing hose. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Since I don't know when we're going to get back to it again here, I got a lot of cleaning up to do, and all hydraulic jacks can leak, so to prevent this here thing from dropping, this engine dropping, I got a scissors jack under there also. Alright, so right at this moment you can see we still have our camshaft bars in, and we also have our timing pin in there with the crankshaft throw up next to it. Before we get back to it again, I'm going to just cover this up, you know, with a piece of cardboard, just keep anything from falling down in there, because you know we still have our spark plugs out, and we don't want to make a bad day for ourselves and have something to fall down in there. Alright guys, so let's wrap this up, and next shot we'll start putting this stuff back together. Alright, hang in there, we'll catch you in the next one.